Hi everyone, I'm Katie Room from Periapsis Press, where I review indie sci-fi and fantasy books. We are currently reading the Shoot the Devil anthology. Last time we discussed the foreword and the first story. Today we will be talking about Phantom Ridge by N.R. LaPoint. With me today is Patrick from Cave to the Cross, and I'm Michael Kane, author of After Moses. Thank you guys for joining me.
Thank you. I will be only 32% less pop culture reference this time.
Lies.
Last time, Michael Kane wasn't able to join us. This time, tentative. Might hear baby in the background, but it should be fine.
As long as I'm not crying, I'm okay. Yeah.
Nobody needs to hear that.
So we are discussing Phantom Ridge, subtitle From the Case Files of Virgil Everness. This is by N.R. LaPoint. I believe that Virgil Everness is a recurring character in several of his short stories. I don't believe he has a longer work yet based on this guy.
He does show up from time to time on Periapsis Press.
I don't think I have had one of Virgil.
Not of Virgil, but of LaPoint.
Yes, I have. I've reviewed LaPoint's others, some of his other stuff. I think I haven't done the one with the girl with the chainsaw. Chalk.
Right, you haven't done Chalk. You've done the maidens, swords and maidens.
Swords and Maidens, yeah.
And the Gun Magnus, I believe, right?
That's that. Yes. The Isekai shoot 'em one.
Yeah, that's an early one too, right?
It
one
is,
of your
yes.
early ones, yeah. See, I'm a fan of things and stuff and people.
Yep. Recommend his other stuff. Could just say that right off the bat.
That's right.
This one is a sci-fi Western.
No.
I would say it's more of a weird Western.
It's weird Western. It's fantasy.
I don't know where weird Western falls exactly, but I think probably more on the fantasy side.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even if you can have weird Western that's sci-fi, this is fantasy. It's clearly in the fantasy box. We're killing what were they? Star spawn, star something. They were clearly Lovecraftian style demons in this Western town that were taking over people. The stars were wrong. There were bullets blessed with holy water. There was his psionic wife. What in any of those elements falls into the sci-fi box?
She has pink hair. That's
I put psychic stuff in sci-fi though.
I did too. Yeah.
But that's all. But that also goes into the fantasy box just as much. I mean, There's probably somewhere in D&D's history a psionic class. I've never played Dungeons and Dragons, but I guarantee you there's a psionic class or something very similar somewhere in its history. So that I am not convinced. 100% fantasy.
It is absolutely a weird Western. And
100%.
Dungeons and Dragons. Psionics are a form of supernatural power, similar to but distinct from arcane and divine magic. Just saying.
All right. Probably the biggest reason that there is any debate about it at all is the fact that there are explosives.
But
that's just TNT. That's just TNT from in a Western. That's the West. See, that's the Western leaking in.
Yeah.
We got plenty of dynamite in Westerns. We can blow up mine entrances and blow up bank vaults and all the above. So
Yep. Yeah. The story begins with Virgil looking at the town and then remembering talking to the bishop who sent him there. The priest of this town has asked for help very cryptically but urgently, and I think he calls it an extermination request as opposed to an exorcism request.
Clear the town. The
Yeah.
fun way.
We've got fog, creepy fog.
Yeah, it sets the mood, the ambiance. It's almost a fog of war type deal, right? Because it kind of surrounds the town as he enters in, and that's your setting, is just this bubble, and it plays a little bit into the revelation of the plot, which for fog is ironic, but yeah.
And maybe at this point is where I got into my head that it was going to be more sci-fi. Was like he's looking at the town through a scope. Like it's
blessed with
gadgets,
true. It's blessed with true sight.
Yes, it's got magic-y stuff, but it's also a gadget.
It's a Western gadget.
Gadgets are sci-fi, except if it's a Western, in which case they just sort of belong there. Someone stop. So there's a voice in his head. And it's not until several paragraphs away that we find out that it's his wife.
Yeah, you almost take it as like, oh, this is like a Jiminy Cricket type or a dual personality almost.
I kind of liked the way that's set up, because I feel like he was deliberately playing on some expectations like that. I don't know. You didn't know who he was talking to, right? Or who he was thinking to, or was thinking at him. And then it turns around and it's his wife, who is mute and a psionic and kind of weird, but just it rug pulls you very quickly for you're expecting this to be like a solo church hired assassin, and it's a husband wife duo. Right, which is a good rug pull. You're like, oh, okay, this isn't the lone, demon slaying gunman I was expecting. The dude brings his wife on the adventure.
Yes. And he also lets us think that she's just like a potential romantic interest too. Right? Not for very long. But we start out like voice in his head. He turns and faces a young woman that had accompanied me. She can't speak. Has these abilities. So there's a little dialogue, big paragraph, a little more dialogue, where she teases him about having a dirty mind. And then a description of her outfit, pink hair.
Naturally pink hair.
Right.
That's how you know she's not woke. It's natural.
And then they like get going. Break with a little cross. We walked into town as if we belonged here. Nobody said anything.
There is an earlier marriage mention.
My wife came
you missed a marriage mention
Where?
earlier. You missed the right before the dirty mind, the paragraph right before last sentence.
4 years of marriage. Yes, there it is. Okay.
It's still at the end. It's still at the end of the introduction. It's still kind of the mic drop at the description of her. So you're like, okay, is this for lack of a better term, is this the winch that travels with him, right? You don't really know. And okay. Like I said, it's a good setup. It's a good setup, and it handles it well, and it's revealed in a fun way, I thought.
Yeah.
What I was like too is I wasn't quite sure on the time setting. You tend to think old Western, but at the same time, with Western stories like this, especially Blessed Bullets and et cetera, you kind of expect that. So you're kind of the old playing into the older type deal, like we need old solutions for older problems type deal. And the mention of her clothing could go either way, right? So it's either weird or it's almost too modern, it's too not sexualized, but it's
A short
very
black skirt.
apropos for a
Yeah.
creepy psionic woman to wear.
Now, I will say that I had a little bit of that thought at one point. I was like, okay, what kind of is our time period setting? But really, the indicator for me that it was a fairly classic Western time period settings is when he talks about his rifle. You know, he says that it's a bolt action rifle. You know, which is a very clear mid to late 1800s technology. Although if you do want to say if there's the teeniest bit of sci-fi, it is in a couple of the guns, because it's a bolt action rifle with 2 box magazines on the side, right? That's
Right.
You know, that makes it look like a cross. So that's more box magazines. That's more like a World War One kind of thing. And having 2 on either side, you know, doesn't make a whole lot of sense at all. So that's almost a little bit of steampunkishness coming in of too complex mechanical device. And I think
Yeah.
her pistol is semi-automatic as well, which, you know, doesn't fit with the setting. That's decades ahead of time. I don't think you
Right.
get any semi-automatic pistols until the right around 1900. Maybe there's something just before.
Yeah.
But
Again, I think it's more the mood setting for it, for the
yeah,
rifles. It wasn't until the word apothecary store was mentioned that I was like, oh, okay, I know where I'm at now. But it was nice because I was paying attention, I think, more to the setting and trying to piece that out. So I
Yeah, I
enjoyed
was gonna
I enjoyed it.
say, I think I paid closer attention to what she was wearing than I ever pay attention to what a character is wearing. I was trying to figure out, like, where is this setting wise?
Well, I too
The
was paying attention to what she was wearing, but I think for different
Oh, for
reasons.
crying out loud.
Well, no, even that though, I would say even what she's wearing is deliberately, I would say it falls into a weird Western sort of thing, because you're saying a short sleeve top that looked vaguely like a corset. You know, that's definitely in that weird West, or even steampunk, even kind
Mhm.
of
Yeah.
slightly fantastical, but still kind of linking to something from the 1800s time period.
Right.
So we're going to this town as a husband-wife team because they've got a problem.
They do have a problem. They try to sneak in, and they meet with the priest first, Father Lazarus. He is a nervous wreck.
He hasn't slept in 38 hours and he hasn't eaten in so long. He's been just trapped in the church.
Yep. I'm not really sure why, I guess. Like, I understand that he is being, like, prevented from leaving, or he's in there for his own safety. Is he hiding in there? Is that, like, the idea? Because later he leaves, right?
Yeah,
Right.
he's been hiding in there. He's
Okay.
been definitely hiding, but I think he leaves later because he's got backup, and now there's a
Okay.
plan, and you know we're all doing things together.
And a full tummy.
And full time.
Very important.
The world
Right.
always looks better on a full stomach. They get sort of a rundown of what's going on. There are inhuman beings, and there is this weird fog, and the constellations are messed up.
The stars are wrong.
The stars are wrong.
Which again
Good
made me
line.
think maybe this is like another world type deal too. So I was still questioning myself before we got
They
to
mention Orion pretty
apothecary.
quickly, though.
Yeah,
They
but
mention Orion pretty quickly, and somebody asked, "Do you remember Orion having a second set of arms?"
exactly.
Yeah, I liked that. When they go out, Virgil looks and he sees something in the stars that is vague and unsettling, and vague for us, I should say. He seems to know what he's looking at.
I like that
Lovecraftian.
It's that
Yeah.
case of weirdness, and that he doesn't tell us. He leaves it to our imagination what it is, because he's like, yep, that's not good. That's not supposed to be like that.
And that's enough, right?
Sure.
Yeah, no, that is a very good case of not telling the reader something and letting the reader's imagination just supply, because whatever he saw, if he described it, is probably not as good as just leaving the reader's imagination to it. In that case, it was a great job of that.
Yes. On the way out, they bump into somebody. It's a literal bumping, and somebody in the very, very loosest interpretation of the word. But nothing happens right then. And they go to a pub to get food. Interesting choice of the word pub.
Right.
I was expecting tavern.
Saloon.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different words that could be used.
Well, one thing that I found kind of funny about this was that, and it comes back up later, but at one point he mentions that they'd looked up the town or something beforehand, and there were 20 bars in the town. And I'm like, a town of 2,000 people has 20 bars? And then later on, it kind of comments of there's just kind of a joke about that, about it being that many, and everybody's drunk all the time, basically.
It helps.
So it's like, okay.
A lot even for Wisconsin.
Maybe the pub was founded by nice Britishmen who immigrated and came to Phantom Ridge, Colorado.
Maybe. Virgil notes that he doesn't usually drink at pubs. He only goes there for information. They meet the barkeep, who is a man of very few words.
Right. He doesn't need your money.
And the doctor.
And the doctor. Who...
The doctor's a little more interesting.
Yes.
What was kind of more interesting was the main character's opinion on doctors, more than the doctor himself in this case. He basically considers them all quacks and practicing of pseudoscience, which is kind of funny considering the Weird West setting that it's the doctor who is the useless person that's either ripping people off or wanting to dissect his psionic wife to figure out how she ticks.
That personal dislike colors the conversation in a way that serves as foreshadowing pretty well too. You kind of you know to suspect him. But I did like that bit. It was a nice little bit of world building where what in our world, in our day-to-day lives, is a respectable and even like
necessary
like thing for somebody to do. Profession, that's the word I'm looking for. Is kind of like you would find this guy at a pub, and he would be kind of creepy and weird, right? Like,
yeah. In a different story, he's going to be the atheist man of science who doesn't believe any of this hoopla going on.
He believes the hoopla going on.
Then his wife turns into an anime character.
Yes, she does.
Like pretty much throughout. I imagine everyone real, but his wife, I'm just always picturing with just, I mean, not big eyes because
How
you don't
big
see
were
them.
her eyes in your head?
Well, behind her head, huge.
Behind her hair, behind her
She would run with her
naturally
hands
pink
back
hair.
without moving.
Oh no.
They get food and then the food to go, so it's in a bag. But then the drunk that they had bumped into earlier shows up and is no longer pretending. And we get a glimpse of this abomination for the first time.
Yeah, I think they described it earlier, and I was trying to find it, but he makes mention that he knows like the the entities are there, and they're pretending to be human, but they're walking in a jilted way that they're putting too much effort into it. I really liked that description of them,
Yes.
like they were trying to act normal, or like the bartender, he doesn't blink, so his wife psionically knows he's off as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it was when he was looking through the blessed scope.
Yeah, yeah. So you can see the glowing eyes, but he knows it from that, but also the gait of the bad guys.
Yes, I
Yeah.
liked that too. One of them has a revolver, in addition to uh, being creepy, I guess. I
Guns
wasn't really.
slinging eldritch abominations.
Screaming blasphemies in an ancient black tongue.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, the creatures here, you know, we're definitely drawing more from Lovecraft style stuff than from, you know, we haven't talked about it yet, but the story is very heavily Catholic flavored, right? Very
Oh, sure.
heavily Catholic mysticism flavored, and you're expecting it's more the sort of Catholicism you'd expect for fighting demons. And then we hear these things are called star spawn, and you're like, these guys are out of Lovecraft, not out of Transylvania.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And
I had
that was
that
good,
thought.
because that wasn't what I wasn't expecting that flavor. You know, it doesn't really tap into cosmic horror type feeling at all, because, you know, it's not really cosmic horror if you can just blow these guys away and win by fighting, right? It's not really that genre, but it's still tapping into that imagery, and that was fun. I like that, because again, I wasn't expecting it. It's not the
But
kind of bestiality.
they still do the blessed bullets. His wife
Mhm.
is doing the Latinum and Onome Pace Filii Spiritus Sancte, and hitting all her shots because she's that awesome
Yep.
again, anime character. Um, so there's still that element of God's warrior type.
Right, and
Hero.
they're still presented as the demonic, but you just kind of get the feeling that there's different flavors of the demonic in this
Mhm.
particular version of the world. And these star spawn, you know, when the stars are wrong above them, and they're, you know,
Or
exactly
maybe
what you're talking about,
a fallen morning star, if you will.
something like that. So they have a grand old fight in the bar.
Yeah,
Yeah,
saloon shootout.
It's gory and giblets and splattery, and it's not a couple guys, you know, getting carried out by their buddies. It's star spawn leaving in pieces, and with people with the pieces all over them, sort of thing.
Yeah, I liked how Virgil was just like a mess. And his
Yeah.
wife is perfectly
Not a
clean.
drop.
Like I said, I think the husband wife duo was one of the better features. If it had just been him, you know, this would have been a much less entertaining story, I think.
Yeah. And
You
more
know,
than
because
just his gal Friday type deal too. Like I do like that
exactly.
they're married. That flirtiness works on on a better level. I think for this.
I agree.
Right. They've been married for 4 years. Right. So they're still newlyweds. Right.
Hey, you can still flirt with your wife after a longer time. It's fine.
I appreciate, and this is something that is more current indie zeitgeist type stuff. We have a husband-wife pair, and at no point ever is the wife hurt or separated, or like there's it doesn't attempt to tap into that base fear of losing the person you love the most, right? Like we never have that like easy emotional manipulation there.
Katie's not a fan of the women getting fridged, Patrick.
Well, it's fun because out of the two, you don't know, you don't get any which one's better, right? Because like she's awesome, but at the same time, he seems to
She's
be
always
action
standing at the
man
back.
jumping through, right?
Right.
So
she's standing at the back,
yeah.
and he's
she's,
up close.
She's the sniper. He's the tank.
Right. He's the one that's getting, Starspawn biting into his shoulder and grappling with him and all that, and she's picking him off of him, sort of thing.
Right.
Because
once captured, she's not the damsel in distress. When it's like, well, what about all the kicking and punching you did before? Why aren't you doing that now?
I just find that kind of story beat to be cheap, right? Where it's like we have like a legit partnership, not in that sort of like weird, oh, they're my partner sort of way, but like they actually do stuff together, and we don't have to worry either about them breaking up or because of internal strife or external forces. Like the two of them are going to face this together, and they're going to make it through together, and that's nice.
Yeah. Well, and it's not a you wait here because you're the women folk, but there's a scene towards the end where there's an event that happens that you're like, oh, that makes sense within the context of everything we've seen up until this endpoint, and we'll get there, and I'll make my mark on that scene. But they leave with the bag of food.
Yes.
They didn't spill the beer type deal.
Right.
because Father Lazarus is hungry.
Yeah.
Escapism
and like
at
the demons fulfilled the order. So I'm just saying they're a little bit better than modern day takeout. So
I went through the drive-thru today. We had 5 people trying to figure out how to, like, what happened to my order. I can see them through the window, all staring at the screen. I'm confused. Wait, what? Came to the window, argued with me. You had the onion rings, right? No. Yes, you did. No, I didn't.
No.
Say what you want about the elder gods, but they can at least know what order goes in what bag.
The conclusion here is that Phantom Ridge had itself an infestation. So then they go back to the church, and Father Lazarus has dinner. I think this is the first point where he says that his name is Virgil, isn't it? Because I could not find it. And then Michael Kane very kindly pointed me towards the subtitle.
Listen, do you expect us to read all those words? Come on.
I skip chapter headings too. Guys, you author types, you spend all your time picking the perfect chapter heading, and
as long as you don't spoil it.
right.
Chapter headings are fun the first time, but they're really more for rereads. Chapter titles. Because once you already know the story and you're reading through and you read that chapter head title and you're like, oh, that has like 3 different meanings. That is so clever. So
It's much
just
more
saying.
useful for finding stuff in retrospect, right? Like when I'm going through trying to write a review and I'm trying to find something, if I can consult a chapter heading.
As opposed to the modern like 1,200 word chapter, and you pull up the table of contents and there's like 85 unnumbered chapters, and you're like, why would this table of contents is worthless? It
Yep.
does nothing. It does nothing.
Okay, so there are that many
1 through
chapters.
85. I don't know which number that happened in.
That's the Dan Brown model. Oh, I'm getting through this book so quickly because I'm turning pages and I'm already on chapter 45 and I'm only 8 pages in. Thanks, Dan.
So we're gonna go back and raid the apothecary because we're pretty sure the infestation is centered at the apothecary.
Is it funny that, like, spoiler alert, I guess we haven't gotten there yet, but we've sort of talked about it. The doctor is the bad guy, and it's an apothecary that they are going into.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, an apothecary, you know,
Drugs,
an
man.
apothecary,
Drugs.
yeah, medicine, drugs,
Right.
herbs, all that stuff, and especially the way the doctor was kind of portrayed as a bit of a quack too.
Sure.
So, you know, I doubt we've really had apothecaries in late 1800 Colorado. So that's kind of mixing in that more fantastical occult type setting a little bit more.
Sure, yeah.
There's a cauldron with Eye of Newt on the shelf. Totally.
Right.
Yep.
Probably have newts out in Colorado, so it's probably easy to get Eye of Newt out there.
They did send Father Lazarus to pick up their explosives that they left with the horses. Because it would have been a burden to carry the satchel with explosives into town, especially when trying to be discreet. And then they ask the father to go and be discreet, fetch this stuff.
They make it clear that they were just mostly trying to get rid of them. That
Yes.
they were going to go in and clear out the nest with guns.
Yes.
But yeah, you got a point.
But they've already alerted, so the police hightailing it.
They're about to launch into a pretty good diversion here.
Yeah.
It's fairly significant scale. They kick down the door, basically. Storm in. Shoot monsters that look like people, but only
with
sort
ropey
of
flesh.
Ropey flesh.
The term ropey came up several times.
Yep. And we get sort of a, more glimpses of how one might take out what are these again? Star
spawn.
Ropey star spawn.
Speaking of word choice, there was a brilliant word choice. I had to look it up. At one point, where was this? It was darn it. I had this marked. Keep going. I'm going to get back to this because it was a great word. Sorry.
So the silver bullets, not silver. Well, there's some silver.
Yeah, there's some silver.
And I think Serafina has holy water in hollow points as well.
Oh, isn't that a good name?
And
here's the word.
Go for it.
Continue. Horripilation. Other times it was a ghostly itch or a horripilation. It's when your hair stands on end on like your arms and legs.
Nice.
Had to look that one up. Sorry. Great word. I'll never remember. Continue.
Also, punching works. Not super well, but putting your finger in their eye, it functions like an eye, and it hurts apparently. And bending their knees backwards. At one point, I pointed the gun at the monster's head and pulled the trigger. Then I shot it a second time. Evil can never be dead enough.
Yeah, that was a good line.
It's a great line.
That harkened back to the intro for me. Yeah, so sometimes you just need to shoot it and then shoot it again.
I'm like, bullets are not like limitless. You have a certain number.
Serafina's
but he's
got one
got-
shot, one kill.
Right, but he's got dual box cart magazines on side of his bolt action. He's good. He's got like 50 in there.
Just shoot everybody twice.
Keep shooting.
He got bitten, and it was poisonous. Luckily, Serafina can fix that. But there's that mana cost that Patrick loves to hear about.
Absolutely. The blue juice is running out.
In this case, it's the brain overheating.
Right.
Well, she is
The
an
danger
angel.
is her
so
melting her brain.
she is a seraphim, after all.
I don't think she is. Just it's her namesake.
Okay. When he calls his wife an angel, he means it.
Uh-huh. They keep going. Because they can keep going. They go down.
They descend down? I've never heard of such a thing happening in demonic areas.
And the walls start getting fleshy,
Yes. Ugh.
which is also very Lovecraftian.
It's very Lovecraftian. But I don't know that Lovecraft ever had fleshy walls.
I don't know either, but that's... I mean, that fits with the whole brand, though. That's the thing.
Right. It reminded me of TJ Marquis', I think it's the third book in the Heroes Metal series. There are 4 towers, and one of them is like the walls are fleshy.
Very
Yep.
video gamey, too.
That's true.
It's Halo. It's the Flood. The Halls of Meat.
There's a really good movie that also reminds me of this part.
This is your first time. You're doing really well.
I'm trying. I'm holding back. The Final Prayer. It's
Never
what do
heard
you
of
call
this.
it? A found footage film, but it doesn't end up the way that you think it is. It's probably top 5 found footage films that's not found footage, but also a little bit of Eldritch Horror in there. So I recommend it.
I may have heard of this from you, actually. The description sounds familiar.
I'd listen to that guy. He knows a thing or two about a thing or two.
Okay. They come to a chamber. And there are 13 figures. 2 are star spawn, and Virgil shoots them right away.
Chambers are perfect places to do evil things. I mean, of all the rooms that you're going to do something evil in, a chamber has to be in the top 3 at least, right?
Yeah. Dungeon, chamber, cell.
I don't know. Chamber's pretty high, though.
It's kind of funny considering that like the old use of the word chamber would be like bedroom.
Right, exactly. But modern use, it's like, let's see, if you're gonna hold a satanic ritual, is it gonna be in a chamber or
Or
in
by
the
the obelisk
conservatory?
at midnight.
Look, I'm gonna say one thing, and we can keep going because I know you're the time issue. The 2 leads are genre savvy.
Yes.
And that's why they do so well, is they know exactly what story they're in, and they kick butt doing it.
Yeah. They meet the doctor.
He's the bad guy. Oh.
Obviously, there's other people there, but they turn into star spawn pretty quickly.
Yep, they get eaten by the fog.
Yep. And then they run. Genre savvy. They get out of there. I should say they shoot half of them first, and then they get out of there.
Yeah, right.
The tendrils from the meat walls try to grab them. Luckily, one of Seraphina's powers is that they've talked about previously, but we sort of skipped over. It's like this light, golden light that was very, very
Holy
nice
light!
for like humans, but not for the Eldritch horrors. As they emerge successfully out of the apothecary, they run into Father Lazarus. He is holding a revolver and points it, and Virgil says like, "At me," and he tries to protect Seraphina, and then there's explosions, chains of explosions of various colors. I think there's blue flames join the orange and red.
Means it's really hot.
So Father Lazarus managed to bring the explosives, and he's
A little gung ho.
Yes, he's very, very enthusiastic.
He does make a quip when he gets the revolver that our hero doesn't know whether to take as serious or not. It points to maybe the father being pretty awesome or bad in a previous life. So he's not just the father in distress here.
Who would ever turn a priest into a gunman?
I think I know like 5 stories off the top of my head.
Yeah, absolutely.
And not just like 5 after Moses stories, I should clarify.
Right. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's a classic trope.
The doctor makes it out as well, and the Virgil and the doctor begin fighting, mostly hand to hand. This is a really great example of one of the things that I dislike about the current indie very, very violent trends is the hand-to-hand combat gets really long for me. Every step, he threw this punch and I did this. Mm-hmm. It gets long. Sort of starts to drag on the tension. But Virgil is victorious. He manages to get him down in such a way that is painful. What is that called? It's not like is it a type of lock, or when you're fighting like someone?
Mission hold or something?
Mission hold. Thank you. I
know nothing about fighting. Let's be clear.
Armbar.
I do not do long hand-to-hand fighting scenes because I know nothing about it.
Yeah. You know who did really well with that was Blake Carpenter in the Deathbringer book. His sword fighting was really good because it gave you a taste of the action, but it didn't keep you there. It wasn't like, I swung and then he swung.
It was more in how the main character was perceiving the state of the fight rather than any kind of blow by blow, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, agreed.
So all of that explosion stuff right above the creepy meat tunnel set off earthquake. And
the hellmouth.
There's a sinkhole. Virgil says, "What'd you do?" And Father Lazarus says, "I didn't do anything." And Seraphina says, "I didn't do anything." Literally, Virgil has been fighting the doctor, and the two of them have not done anything. They just admitted it.
I think she was about out of mana, though, right? She was about to
Yeah.
brain melting, I think.
Yes, yeah. Okay, she has an excuse. All right.
Well, and you have to wait your turn. So that's like the bad guy fighting. You have 5 people surrounding you, one at a time, please. Thank you. Works for the good guys too. That's why they're the good guys.
This is turn-based combat.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, Serafina is pretty fried. Not quite literally, but almost. Then there's the line uh, about the stars, where Virgil says, "Better for your health and sanity if you didn't know."
And the stars return to normal.
Yep, it's good. And then there's a nice little epilogue where they're with the bishop who had originally sent them on this mission, and they're also their 2 kids.
He's the babysitter too.
Yeah, it's a nice little picture of their family. The stakes, sort of after the fact.
Yeah. Although they're worried about people being suspicious of the church for buying too much explosives.
Right.
Know how you would know that, but
and ends with case closed. It's very nice.
and a vacation.
Oh yes, yep.
It was enough pay for a month.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
Thumbs up. I liked it. It did its job. I think I hadn't read anything by N.R. LaPoint, but I think he's kind of in the pulp crowd. And I think for this sort of story, that was perfect. I mean, the pulp roots are very evident. The genre savvy hero, I think, is part of that. They come into the story competent. They come in, they kick butt. The story ends, it's over. But that was exactly what this needed. It was fun, didn't overstay its welcome, and did what it needed to.
Mm-hmm.
I liked it. And like I said, I liked the more Lovecraftian style villain than, I was expecting something more, zombie, ghoulish, vampire-ish sort of baddie, not Starspawn with ropey flesh.
It was very unique.
I liked it.
Sense. Yes.
You'd have to check out his other stories probably to get the zombies and the ghouls and the vampires and the werewolves.
I think he's got dinosaurs too. I think he's got a,
yes.
a dinosaur and gun on a Nut Foreign Planet series. So
yeah, I agree. I enjoyed the characters, and no one annoyed me. Right, so people make good decisions. The bad guys have some motivation. We didn't get into it, but the doctor has a little bit of a explanation without having to bad guy dump on us. Like we kind of just are told it, and that was good enough for me. And yeah,
when you said that
when
you said that no one annoyed you, I thought about saying something that would get me in trouble, something about the fact that his wife can't actually talk, but then I decided against it. So I'm not going to get in trouble.
But only he can hear.
Say that you thought about it and tell us about it.
My bad.
Emphasize that you didn't say it.
When she's praying, though, he does say that she does say it, but I'm assuming that he can hear her.
He's hearing it. So. Yeah. Let's be more specific. He can hear her all the time, and no one else can. So, anyway,
the fact that he's married for 4 years and she hasn't left him is a testament to him, I would say.
All right, Katie, what do you think?
I liked it. It delivered on the promise. We got the shoot 'em action against the evil bad guys, without like trying to surprise me right at the end with a twist or something. It just gave me what I asked for. I liked it. Yeah. Would recommend.
Agreed.
recommend that you guys pick up Shoot the Devil, edited by Eric Postma, and read this story. We also recommend picking up some of the other stuff that Anna LaPoint has written. Patrick and I have read stuff by him before. Have you done a review on your channel at all?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I want to do the Swords and Maidens one a lot because I liked a lot of those. So I'll probably do that again.
Nice. Yeah, I've reviewed a couple of his things on Periapsis Press.
That's where I found out about him, at periuspress.com, where I know that I can trust all the reviews there because they're positive reviews, and I know the person and trust the review point there.
Thank you. If you guys would like to join us, we're going to continue reading through this.
If you like the setting, you could also check out other books in similar fashion, like there's a guy, I'm blanking on his name, but it's called the After Moses series. And pick up just the first book in hardcover because you feel like you need to give more money to that author because you get so many stories. I was a third of the way through it, and I'm like, how are there more pages? And I was thoroughly entertained, and it has a similar point of view, perspective, and the characters that do annoy you are there to do so on purpose. So I would definitely pick up Michael F. Kane's After Moses series, the whole thing.
Which is not fantasy, but sci-fi, by the way.
It's sci-fi Western.
The greater fantasy.
And it is recommended that you grab the first one in hardcover. You think to yourself, oh, I'll get the paperback and then, just to try it out or whatever. But then you're going to regret it because you're going to want to buy the whole series and you're going to want it to look good.
Want them all to look the same. Again, okay. I always say after the 9th chapter, I went to Amazon and immediately ordered everything else in hardcover. So that's what sold it for me. So,
okay, leave a comment. Let us know what you think. If you've read it before, if you were inspired by our discussion, and thank you guys, Patrick and Michael, for participating and for reading and talking with me. And thank you guys for watching. You guys have a great day.